Hey everybody, it's Kaylani and welcome back to my book corner. Today we are going to be talking about books that I have read. So I think going forward I'm going to be doing 2 monthly wrap-ups because I just read more books than I think I can fit into like a decent sized video, and I hate like spending 5 seconds on books when I actually like really want to talk about them. So this is going to be like the first half of April, and then after April's finished, I will do the second half of April. Makes sense? Hopefully, maybe. So far this month, it has been a listening month. I have not read physically that many books. The books I have read are, I think I've read 2 like actual books, and then I read 1 ebook, and then the rest were audio so far for the first half of the month. So we are just going to go ahead and jump right into it. The first book I read was good old Miss Peregrin's Home for Peculiar Children. This was a reread for me. I read this is like probably my 3rd time reading this book. It was just as good as the last couple times I read it. I want to read the newest 2 books in the series. I've read the first 3 and would like to read the newest 2. So I'm starting over so that I can remember all of the things that I should remember to do the other 2, even though I think the first 3 are like a finished trilogy and then the other 2 are like a completely different series, but just in case, I like having it all back to back, you know? So the next book I read was Friends Without Benefits, which is by Penny Reed. This was an ebook, so I read it on my Kindle. This was a great feel-good romance, which was just what I needed at the beginning of April. And it is about our 2 main characters, and they've been lifelong friends, and they had a tragedy in their past that kind of put them together and then tore them apart. And it's a good feel-good romance. It's the Neanderthal Seeks Human series. I think it's Knitting in the City is like the actual title of the series, and this was the 3rd book in the series, or the 2nd book, because one of them is like a 1.5 or like something like that. So this is the 3rd book, actual book in the series, and I enjoyed it just as much as the first 2, and I highly recommend it. So the next book that I read was In 5 Years, and I actually tabbed this book. This is the first book I've ever tabbed, and so it was a learning experience. There's not too many because it is like a romance type book. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. This is marketed as a romance, and I will say it has romantic qualities. So this is about a girl who has a dream right after, like the night she gets engaged, that she is living with another man, and it feels very real to her. And when she wakes up from that dream, she feels like it had actually happened. And she knows in the dream what year it was, so it's 5 years in the future from the day she is having the dream. And her fiance go on living the next 4.5 years, and then she is introduced to the man in her dreams after 4.5 years, and it ends up being her best friend's spoilers. So it ends up being her best friend's significant other and her new boyfriend, and then some really sad things happen. And like I said, this is marketed as a romance, and while it has romantic qualities between the woman and her fiance, and then between the other guy, it's really sad. So just go in knowing you're probably going to be sad, because I thought this was going to be like another feel-good romance. It was about like finding your true love. Not what it's about. Do not go in thinking that there's going to be a happily ever after, because that's not what this is about. I don't know if this is what the author is kind of like known for. I have the dinner list. It is on my list to be read. But I still gave it 4 stars. It was a good book. It just wasn't what I expected, you know what I mean? And once I realized it wasn't going to be what I had hoped it to be, it was a very different like experience that went into this book. So just, I recommend this book, not a romance between just not a romance. That's how I feel about that. But yeah. So the next book that I listened to this month was The Perfect Escape. A guy and a girl, and they are friends through a like escape room, and I thought the escape room was going to be a bigger part of the story, and I guess it kind of was for like the first half, but not really. Like they're only at the escape room I think like twice in this book, and they both kind of are in desperate need of money. So they sign up to do this like escape. It's not really an escape room because they're out in nature, but like escape thing that through a company, and they'll win I think $50,000. And some things like come up, like the guy is really smart and he goes to like a smart person school, but he's kind of poor, so he is a scholarship kid, which they call a skid. And one of the people at his school wants him to like throw his classes so that they can get better or look better on paper, and he is trying to make his decision there. And then the girl is trying to escape some family drama that I don't know. So my biggest complaint is the bad guys in this book are very cartoonish in their like description. Like when they like have their final confrontation with each person's bad guy, it feels like all I can think of is Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb. Like, I don't know why, but that's all I could think of when this was going down. I was like, we're getting that final monologue before they beat you. So that was my only complaint. Other than that, it was like a really good little YA romance, I guess. It wasn't really a romance. I mean, it was. It had romantic qualities, I guess. So, I don't know. Maybe, and I know I'm not the target audience. I'm not YA, so I'm a little bit older. So I guess, I don't know. I'm not the target audience. It was an okay read. I wouldn't necessarily like go out and recommend it to everyone, but if you're into escape rooms and kind of like outdoor survival, this might be a book for you. So my 5-star read for this, like the first half of the month, was Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And this was my Reese Witherspoon book club. And she picks some books. Like every book she's picked so far, and I know it's kind of the point, but every book she's picked so far has been like pretty high up on my rankings for each month. And they're just like so good. But Glennon Doyle is a writer. She's written quite a few memoirs, and that's what this one was as well. And it's kind of like an inspirational memoir. Like you're supposed, like she talks about her life, but to inspire you to be the best you that you are. And I have some quotes because this book, I was like listening to this book. I do hope to get a physical copy, and I'm like ready to go at it with a highlighter. Oh, because some of like, it's so good. And I only wrote down some quotes because there were far too many. But my favorite one was, maybe Eve was never meant to be our warning. Maybe she was meant to be our model. Own your wanting, eat the apple, let it burn. Goosebumps. I get goosebumps. I love that because I don't know, growing up Christian, you definitely like, as a woman, and this is like any religion, I feel like women are obviously put down within the Bible, like women are lesser, and that like that's like where it's a thing. And so growing up in a church, you're told very often that like it's your fault that we have struggles, right? Like if Eve hadn't eaten that apple, we would all still be in, well, we wouldn't, none of us would be here, but we'd all still be in Eden, and it would all be good. And I think, like, being able to own what you want, and being like, this is how I'm living my life, I don't care what you think. Oh, I love that. She had quite a few good ones. And then this one was talking about kind of like eating disorders within young girls, and it's, we forget how to know when we learn how to please. And she was talking about like, she had boys and girls over at the same age, and she asked if they were hungry, and the boys were all like, yes, give me food. But the girls all like looked around to see what the other girls were gonna say, and they ended up saying no thank you. And it's like, you forget how to know how to be happy when you start to learn how to like please those around you, which another one coming at me. This one, being brave is sometimes letting everyone down but yourself. And like, that is amazing because she talks about how being brave is being scared but doing it anyways. And she's like, that's stupid, because maybe it's not something you should do. Like, just because, like, if everyone else was jumping off a bridge kind of scenario, like, if you're uncomfortable with it, then you know how to please yourself, and being yourself is who you should please. So anyways, I love this book. Highly recommend. It is, they do talk about a lot of, or she talks about a ton of different topics. She talks about sexuality, romance, divorce, being a mother. And then she also talks about obviously feminism and also supporting men within feminism as well. And it's not just about supporting our girls, it's supporting everyone and making sure that everyone is mentally healthy and happy. And I love this book. Read it. That is all I have to say about that. Sorry for the tangent, but like I said, this was my 5-star read for this group of books. The next book that I listened to right after that one was Most Likely, and this one is about 4 girls and their senior year of high school and the struggles they kind of go through. And you find out at the beginning that one of them is going to be president when they grow up, and you get one clue, and that is the last name of the person she is going to marry. And it was like that nice little mystery. Like, the mystery is really what kept me going through the book, because it was just like everyday struggles of girls. They dealt with depression, race, all the things I feel like young girls in society go through in high school right now. And I thought they dealt with quite a few of them really well. Divorce is in there. It's a nice little book, a little contemporary for supporting young women. So, but like I said, the mystery is kind of what kept me going, because the whole time I was like, how can it not be this one person? You're like, it's this one person, right? And then maybe it is, maybe it isn't, you know? So I highly recommend it if you're in for a little YA contemporary, and that is that one. So the next one I read was Animal Farm, and I tabbed this one as well. This one I went a little bit more crazy with my tabs because I had some feelings, and I think I'm going to be making a video specifically for this book because, I mean, it's one of those books where you got a lot to say about it, and I have quite a bit to say about it. It was kind of terrifying to be reading in our society right now, but there is that one. I gave it, I think, a 4-star because, I mean, I read this in high school, but I definitely didn't remember any of it. Like, I remember the pigs took over the farm, but that was like my knowledge of this book. I think my teacher I had that year did us a serious disservice by only letting us listen to audiobooks and not actually reading the physical books. But that is a whole different conversation. But this was quite a book. Like I said, I have a lot to say about it, so I think I'm going to be making a video specifically for this book. But yeah, that's another book I read this month. So that is actually all of the books I read this month up until the 15th, which is kind of going to be my cutoff date. So like I said, I think I am going to be doing 2-part wrap-ups just for convenience, I guess, and not really convenience, but if I have a lot to say, I don't want a 45-minute video of just the books I read. So we're going to try to split it up and be able to talk about more of the books I do like and not necessarily the books I didn't like. So there is that. But that is all I have to say today. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you next time. Bye!